Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
The head coaching search, two things have been mentioned quite frequently that make the Browns less than attractive. Number one, the quarterback situation, and number two, a meddlesome owner. And I think the meddlesome owner is probably a bigger issue than the quarterback. Jimmy Haslam is an exceptional businessman. He wouldn't be in the position to own an NFL team if he wasn't. And to do that, you have to hire good people, trust them to do their job. What they need to do is hire Jim Schwartz as the coach, then hire one of these young offensive superstars as the offensive coordinator. If that young man can turn the Browns offense around, he could probably write his own ticket in a year or two or coach the Browns. Interested in your comments. Thanks.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Tom, I would love that, but the question would be, will you get that young offensive superstar to come here as an OC and not a head coach? Also, Adam Schefter's reporting that the Bills want to interview Nate Scheelhaase for their head coaching position as well. They've requested that. So that throws another thing in there.
Yeah, we've got the Lake Erie tug of war going here, don't we, between Cleveland versus Buffalo. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, he's a hot commodity out there, much like Udinski. It was, one of those, much like Kevin Stefanski was 6 or 7 years ago, that up-and-coming rising offensive coordinator that gets people's interest, and especially when they're successful where they were. And obviously in both Jacksonville and with the Rams, those two guys, became, jumped on the radar. So, yeah, I have picked Jim Schwartz from the get-go here only because of what he's done the last couple of years. And I think there was a real fear inside the building of losing him should you hire somebody else as your head coach. Now, because Kevin Stefanski has retained his defensive coordinator in Atlanta, that's one place that Jim Schwartz would not go should he not get the head coaching job. And then I just wonder, if Jim, while he said that he wanted to be a head coach again after a 4-year run in Detroit and some years in between, I don't know how passionate he was about to get it. So I guess we're going to find that out. If he is bypassed for this job for a much younger coach, will he be willing to stay here? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. I thought it was important from his standpoint that Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward were as outspoken as they were at the end of the season about what a great leader he is and how much they would love to continue to play for him. So, we'll see. I think, as the caller mentioned as well, getting a young coach here at any level is going to be important, whether he's the offensive coordinator or the head coach. Again, when the season ended, I just pointed towards Schwartz seemed to be the path of least resistance, the one that made the most sense, given not necessarily my choice, but given the circumstances, given the candidates that were going to be available, given the success that he's had over the last couple of years here with this defense, it just seemed to make too much sense to me.
Yeah, the other thing that I'm really interested in is everybody's trying to find the next Sean McVay. There's a chance there isn't one.
That's a great point.
The hot young, and I don't blame them for going through the process, but Kevin Stefanski was kind of the cerebral young offensive mind. Everybody they're interviewing, Udinski strikes me as that, and Scheelhaase strikes me as that. And you need something. Normally when you change head coaches, you go something different. Jim Schwartz is going to be different. Jim Schwartz, head coach, will have a very different demeanor than Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, Dave, right? I don't know if that, yeah, I mean, the head coaching position is so unique in the NFL. First of all, you're in charge of that locker room, right? You have to be able to stand in front of a group of alpha males on a daily basis and give them a message that is going to resonate with them, that's going to get the most out of them. You also got to stand in front of a room or sit in a long table in a room with your coaching staff and run them on a daily basis. Your other main jobs as a head coach in the NFL is to manage the media, manage us, listen to some of our stupid questions and have to deal with that on a daily basis. And then obviously you are beholden to ownership on a daily basis, explaining to them, what your philosophy is and why you went for it on 3rd and 1, and how come this wide receiver's not playing, and how come that rookie quarterback is not getting more reps. So there's a lot to handle. And I think for a 35-year-old like a Shieldhouse or a Udinsky, that's a lot to put on their plate really early, which is why you may want to, why you would maybe prefer a guy like Schwartz or a guy like Todd Monken, who I think, people aren't talking much about, and I don't know if he'd be willing to come here as the offensive coordinator. There's still a lot of rumblings about him joining John Harbaugh and reuniting with him with the Giants. So, yeah, Dave, I mean, it always seems to be the Browns that find themselves in these kinds of messes, if you will, where it feels like the candidate pool has shrunk, because of other opportunities. The fact that I'm maybe a candidate or two of these, to the caller's point, were scared off because of this meddlesome ownership group that you have here. So, I'm hoping for the guys and gals that are still on the beat on a daily basis that this is close to being over, because there's a whole lot more offseason to go here in Cleveland. And as we know, there's going to be a right-hand turn, whether it's going to be somebody demanding a trade or somebody being traded or somebody retiring or whatever. It's the Browns. I mean, never a dull moment.